Welcome back. It's time for video 3 from Unit 6. In this video, we'll take a look at the last section from Chapter 16, and we'll talk about the U.S. rule and how it's applied in terms of partial payments on a loan. Pay attention because we're going to have days involved again. Again, most times your book tends to stay ordinary, but be careful every once in a while when you're not suspecting it, they'll sneak an exact in there just to catch you. So with no further ado, let's go over and pop this PowerPoint. The PowerPoint just went away. Try this again from the beginning. All right, you'll notice we're firing from 16.3. It's the U.S. rule. We're going to talk about partial payments. In a nutshell, the U.S. rule says if there's a payment made before the debt's due, first the interest up until that point takes precedence. So interest comes off first. Any amount after that interest is paid goes to reduce the principal. So interest paid first, principal paid second with that partial payment. So you and I are going to do a couple of calculations as it relates to a partial loan, or partial payment, I should say, as on this loan. So some words, it's not hard. It can be tedious if you've got one that spans multiple partial payments. It gets to be a little bit of a nuisance, but it's not hard to do. Let's take a look at one and try to get you through it. All right. So here's your set. I'll let you read it. It'll borrow $8,000, 6% and 90-day loan. All right. So now you'll notice that Biff doesn't wait until day 90 to pay off. On day 40, he sends $800. So he starts the repayment process on day 40. He makes another payment on day 75. He kicks in an extra $800 towards repaying that $8,000 that he borrowed. All right. He's going to clear all of that stuff at the end of 90 days. So that thing's going to end. So the problem says we're going to use a 360-day year, and that's important to us in terms of times. What's his adjusted balance after day 40? What's his adjusted balance after day 75? And how much does he have to pay? What's his ending balance to close the loan? So let's attack. All right, first of all, we got to play at that first payment spot. It's 40 days in. All right, so he owed $8,000, not for all 90 days. He only owes $8,000 until he makes his first payment, which happens to be on day 40. So we're going to calculate the interest charge on $8,000 at 6% for 40 days. Okay, and again, we're using a 360-day year, so 40 over 360. All right, day 40, in effect, he won't owe the full $8,000 anymore. It'll be diminished by a portion of this payment. All right, so grab your calculator, and what you see on the screen was really just 8,000 times 0.06 times 40 divided by 360. So here's what we now know. $53.33 of that first payment of $800 goes to interest. The rest of that $800 diminishes or lowers the $8,000 that he owes on the loan. So let's attack there. Here's what we now know. $800 was the payment sent. $53.33 of it goes to pay interest. The balance, all right, which is now showing you at 800 minus 53.33, $746.67 comes off the $8,000. So he no longer owes $8,000. The amount he owes has been diminished by $746.67. So his new balance as of that first payment on day 40 is $7,253.33. And you see all that we did there was subtract our 746.67 from the 8,000. So we're getting ready to move into that next partial payment. It takes place on day 75. So now watch out. Even though 75 is your reference point, that's only going to be 35 days from day 40. So when we get ready to do our next interest calculation, don't get suckered. Don't put 75 in. All right. So the balance still owed $7,253.33. Time for day 75. So you see, I brought back how much we still owe as a result of that first payment. And again, note that from day 40 to day 75, 35 days have passed. So when we get ready to calculate our interest charge, For that 35-day window between day 40 and day 75, you're going to see that our time player is 35 over 360, not 75 over 360. Calculated gymnastics to an interest charge of $42.31. Again, on day 75, the payment amount was $800. The first $42.31 goes to account for interest. The balance of that $800 will diminish the amount owed on the original loan. But the amount owed on the original loan as a result of the first payment was $72.53.33. So we're going to be affecting that. And we noticed that if the $800 went in on day 75 and $42.31 of it went to defray interest, the rest, or $757.69, goes to defray the amount borrowed. So we'll be taking our $72.53.33 and we'll subtract from it $757.69. So at the end of day 75, his owed balance on the principal is now $6,495.64. So from 75 to day 90, which is when it's all going to shut down, he's going to pay this thing off in its entirety. That's how much he owes. So we're going to be calculating interest on that amount for 15 days, from 75 to 90. All right, so here we go. All right, notice that was our owed balance, $64.95.64. That's where we left off in the last slide. From day 75 to day 90 is a 15-day window. All right, so here comes our calculation set. Notice the principal, rate still at 6% and 15 out of 360. Calculator says, okay, for that last 15-day window, we're going to owe an interest charge of $16.24. So what's going to happen on day 90? Well, on day 90, you're wiping out this loan. So you have to give back what you borrowed, right, which we now owe at $64.95.64, plus we're going to owe an interest charge for that amount of money over a 15-day window. So to clear the loan, all right, we're going to have to pay both of those numbers. What we owed, the $64.95.64, in addition to the $16.24. So that was our outstanding balance. That's the interest charge. So to clear the loan on day 90, Biff Beamer has to send him a check for $6,511.88. It's not hard to do. You've got to be cognizant of how many days have passed from one day on that payment schedule to another day on that payment schedule. Play clean, pay attention to ordinary or exact. In this context, we did ordinary. All right, so a couple of steps get us there. That wraps the learning activities for Unit 6. Again, you're going to notice I've selected some problems from the textbook to give you some practice. You can find them starting on 437 over to 441. Send me some solutions. I'll get you some points. If you find difficulty, if you find some concerns and some questions, I'm an email away. Okay? Take a look at what's in here, follow the videos, look at the examples, and get your calculator and your pencil ready. We'll see you soon for Unit 7. Bye.